So if we think about this concept of data-driven marketing in 2014, it's very much a concept and not a discipline. And it's very difficult for marketers to translate the available data they have in all the fragmented systems and all the different sources of information internally, translate that into actually optimizing your marketing spend. And so we want to spend a little bit of time today going through a framework or an approach to thinking about how you are actually applying customer data internally to optimize your marketing spend. And to start, I just want to back up and think through what is it that a marketer is tasked with doing on a daily basis. And really there are three things you should be focused on in marketing: customer acquisition, customer conversion, and customer retention. And each one of these activities is actually generating data for your organization. And so if you really take the two ends of this spectrum, you have customer acquisition on the one side, where you are driving net new prospects into your organization, and you have customer retention, where you actually know why customers purchased from you, what they purchased, what they look like from a demographic or a psychographic standpoint before they purchased. And what we're really talking about when we say data-driven marketing is a closed-loop marketing process where you're taking and informing your marketing spend and your marketing strategy with the actual data that you get from sales. Why did people buy from us? What did they buy? How can we actually optimize and analyze that information to inform our marketing spend? But let's just talk about some of these challenges. So what we're seeing from our data, and these are looking at all respondents from our Q1 2014 Customer Experience Management Survey. Number one challenge with managing the customer experience is limitations with marketing tools. So that would suggest that maybe there are better ways to do this. Maybe some of the existing tools that organizations are leveraging are just not cutting it. And we're definitely seeing increasing budget in new and next generation technologies that can kind of bridge the gap between collecting data and analyzing and actually taking action on that data. Secondly is segmentation and targeting, also followed by lack of data and poor data quality. I think all three of these areas, the theme there is a lack of the right information or data internally to actually act on it. Do you trust the data if you're going to personalize? Do you trust the data that you're analyzing and you're going to be using? And then finally, fragmented marketing systems. This is obviously a huge challenge, but in many cases, you don't even have access to the data you need to do this correctly. So we're really talking about trying to centralize some of this customer data so you can make it actionable, so you can apply business rules and segment and optimize your marketing strategy. And one of the biggest challenges, if you think about this spectrum of managing customers and acquiring new customers, is the different systems that exist to actually do this. So if you look at customer acquisition and customer conversion, oftentimes marketers are relying on everything from search engine marketing, banner ads, television, magazines, email marketing, list purchases that they're loading to systems, mobile campaigns. All these different systems are rarely the same platform. And so you have different sources of information that are being informed by your marketing budget that are being drawn into this mix. And then you have customer retention, where marketers are largely expected to retain loyal and satisfied customers. That information may reside in CRM. It might be in support or customer service systems, ERP, point of service systems. And so now you have this huge gap between the available information and the data that I just listed off in all these different systems is essentially the information you need to close the loop. To actually apply data-driven marketing decisions, you need to know the information about your customers and what they bought and why they bought, and you need to know information about how you're actually targeting and acquiring new customers, because if you can optimize that mix, you can actually drive better quality of customers through the pipe. So having said that, we oftentimes talk about customer acquisition as a funnel, and we usually stop there. In this challenge of we drive significant or take significant budget to drive this massive quantity of prospects into our pipe, knowing that a smaller quantity are going to produce results at the end and convert to customers. But really, there's a reverse funnel on the other side of that challenge. And for your customers, you have to, upselling, cross-selling campaigns, managing the loyalty, and are they actually, are they profitable in the long run? And doing all that analysis actually takes data. And so, if you think about this entire continuum, and you were to do a good job at it, the optimal approach here would be, if you know what your customers look like that are coming out of the bottom of that acquisition funnel, then you should be able to inform the type of customers you're targeting at the top of that funnel. And that's really what we're talking about. So let me talk about 5 practical strategies that you can use today to start doing this effectively. So number 1 is to integrate customer data from different systems. And you might think, well, duh. And I think the byproduct of that recommendation is not just to integrate, but if you can't get there with the systems you have in place today, then it's time to look at new systems. Because, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You might need to start looking at a roadmap approach to optimizing your customer data internally, and maybe it's a 3 to 5 year technology roadmap that says, hey, we've got to centralize some of this stuff, we've got to minimize the amount of disparate systems and disparate customer data that's out there. Secondly is to augment your customer data records with third-party data. Now, top-performing organizations are actually 2 times more likely to actually bring in data from external sources. The reason they're doing this is because they have available customer data, information that they know about customers from the transaction, but they can actually layer into that additional characteristics that help them target top of the funnel prospects. And so if you may know certain attributes about your customers, but layering into that additional attributes about those same customers, such as household income, you actually may be able to go out and target better customers in your customer acquisition efforts. Next is narrow your marketing efforts to 3 to 5 high priority customer segments. What we're talking about here is really defining customer personas. And you can do this through a customer journey mapping exercise where you actually go out and target customers that are high priority for you. You want to look for those high priority, high profitability customers, and just go after 3 to 5. Don't make this complicated. I think a lot of times marketers, when they think about data-driven marketing, it gets so complex because there's so much different information you can analyze. But what if you were to just focus on 2 or 3 customer segments that you really value as an organization and say, how do we do a better job? How do we target and acquire better customers in these core demographics or in these core personas? How do we speak to them more effectively in our marketing and our communication strategy? And finally, focus your acquisition efforts on a narrower population of buyers. What we mean by that is instead of going out and buying lists of tens of thousands of individuals and hoping that some of those are the needles in the haystack that may do business with your organization, if you actually know what your customers look like, can you actually go out and purchase lists and engage those lists of individuals who look like those customers? You have a much better chance of converting based on what you know internally. There's new and emerging technologies that are just doing a phenomenal job bridging the gap between actually collecting that customer data but helping you analyze it and act on it. And so I think that it's high time many organizations start to explore doing things differently, because it may have worked 10 or 15 years ago, and that's probably when you purchased those systems, and that's all fine and dandy, but when we look at the next 3 to 5 years and customer expectations for your brand, customer expectations for the customer experience on all these different marketing channels, it is very unlikely you're going to get there with fragmented technologies. For more information, you can also check out the deep dive report commissioned by V12 Group. We've got a very cool customer acquisition, customer management technology that's worth taking a look at. And you can also find more resources on Gleanster.com.